All right, three, two, one. What's up, MetaHumans? I'm lawyer Wynton. That's Peter Speroni. Together, we make up the Web3 attorneys. Today, we're going to talk about something that we are starting to see come across our desk, our email, our phone calls, like almost every other day, and that's new startups within the metaverse, NFT projects, and trying to figure out what to do about trademarks and intellectual property. So we thought we'd just take a minute to talk about trademarks. And when you are starting a metaverse project or an NFT, something within this new emerging space, you need to take a step back and think about your trademarks. Otherwise, you might get hit with a cease and desist letter, and it could cost you a ton of money trying to fight that kind of stuff off. Peter, what have you been seeing lately most often when it comes to these trademark issues?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we back up just a little and we look at sort of the gold rush of NFTs when everyone was all excited about them and putting out, all these platforms emerged like OpenSea and HitPiece and other sites that were listing others' content, music or art or video footage, whatever. We saw lawsuits emerge from not clearing the IP that was featured on their site because there was a lot of confusion on what kind of permissions one might have when minting an NFT. And as we always say, NFTs are not copyrights. However, they may display a copyright or a trademark, and often they are used to entice investors into purchasing the NFTs. Although the platform themselves didn't clear any IP in the first place, rendering that NFT worthless. But what we are coming across on numerous occasions more and more is that NFT startups, we've heard some amazing ideas for platforms and other sources of metaverse and NFT content. We're looking at stepping back for the actual startup itself to say, well, have you yourselves protected your brand with a trademark and copyright protection, trademark registration with the United States Patent and Trademark Office? And we're finding more and more the answer to that often is no. So we wanted to make a quick little video about the importance of that, because if you have a startup that takes off and you're selling a lot of NFTs and you did clear that IP for those NFTs you're selling, but your logo, your brand, your website, your bread and butter is not protected with the Patent and Trademark Office, you, just like the content on those other sites, could be served with a cease and desist letter. You could be sued for damages, and you could actually be prohibited through an injunction, which would force you to stop selling product under that mark. So depending on how far your project is along, the very first step that you should be taking is making sure you get a trademark for your brand first.
And we know a lot of people are just really excited to get in the space and make some money. But at the end of the day, if you don't clear and when we say clear your trademarks, we mean do the work, and it is work, to go backwards on whatever it is you're using, your brand included, the products that the NFTs, whatever you're selling on within your space. Do the legwork to go back to make sure nobody else already owns it, nobody else is already using it. There are others that are part of that project that need to be a part of the sale. Like, clearing it means going and clearing out any problems that you might have, and also that means paying any licensing fees that you may need to pay, because if you don't, at the end of the day, those people could come back and let's say you made $500,000 on whatever project you're in, NFT project, NFT startup, metaverse project, whatever. Let's put a big number on it, $500,000. They come in with a cease and desist, hit you with a copyright infringement, trademark infringement suit. Litigation is expensive, and you could be spending upwards of $100,000, $200,000
Easy.
to get yourself out of that legal jam.
Yes, and there's no guarantees that by the end of spending all that money that you are going to retain the rights to use your brand anymore. Often, if you are shown that you were not able to, or you didn't register your mark, you weren't using it in a commercial setting, you abandoned the mark. There could be a slew of reasons why you may lose at the end of the day, even though you filed a trademark application. And one of the things that we look at and advise on, which a lot of you see, it's about $250 per class of goods and services to register with the trademark office. So depending on what what kinds of enterprises you wish to enter with your brand, you should get the associated goods, brands, and services that detail out where you can use your mark and where that's federally protected for yourself. We know that there's a lot of sites up that will do a trademark for $300, and we find a lot of startups go that route. Obviously, we advise against that, mostly because trademarks are so research heavy. So one of the understandings that people seem to miss here is the idea and the concept of common law trademarks, where a particular brand is not registered with a patent and trademark office, but they do use a particular mark, words of that mark, to advertise, sell, and otherwise hold out those goods and services commercially in, let's say, Florida, or let's say Minnesota or California. So even though they didn't register with the Patent and Trademark Office, they still have what's called common law trademark protection in those geographical areas. So if you do not know that those other businesses with your same name or a confusingly similar name, which is the standard, are selling in certain states, you could actually be prohibited from actually getting your registration approved on a federal level for federal protection, because there's another more established brand in a geographical territory. So one of the things we like to advise against is just paying that quick $300 for certain types of sites that say they'll do a registration for you. They're not really doing all of the common law trademark research that is necessary to really understand how viable it is for you to get your trademark application approved. And that's the last thing you want, is to move forward with a successful business and find out you have to change your name. That could literally snatch your entire company out from underneath you. If you didn't register and they did, they could be entitled to certain damages.
Could be financially devastating.
Devastating. So taking the time now and registering your marks and getting with the right IP team to really look at where you're using it, how you're using it, can really help prevent costly lawsuits and you losing your brand entirely.
It could be devastating. Trademarks are so essential. Copyright is so essential. IP is so essential in this world. You're going to hear us preach about this non-stop.
Yep.
The Web3 you are going to equate the Web3 attorneys with intellectual property is king in the metaverse and NFT space. Like, we are going to preach that until we are blue in the face, because we are gonna cover a lot of stories on here, guaranteed, in the future, of people's. We did it. I mean, with that the F1 driver game, they weren't able to get the intellectual property back for that space, and they ended up having to shut it down. Intellectual property is king at the end of the day, and your intellectual property is God. Like, intellectual property is king. Your personal intellectual property of your brand is God, because if you don't have that right, that shuts everything down.
Yep.
That shuts it all. Everything down. So make sure you guys take that serious. Take that serious. If you guys have any specific questions, please reach out to the Web3 attorneys. It's our passion. It's what we love to do. We are here to help people with this kind of stuff within arts and entertainment, the metaverse, NFTs. It's what we love to do. So if you got any questions, reach out, shoot us an email, leave a comment below. But while you're doing that, also hit the subscribe button and the like button, and share this with somebody you think might need to hear this information. For now, I'm Lawyer Wynton. That's Peter Speroni. Together, we are the Web3 attorneys, and you guys are metahumans, and we like you. We'd like you to come back and keep watching us.
See you next time.